Well, I'll tell you, when you look here across Payne Field right now at Boeing's flight line, you'll see that some of those airliners already have what look like plastic garbage bags on the passenger windows. Those are the ones we can see from here. It says those planes are not going anywhere anytime soon because the airlines probably can't use them with flying down more than 90%, which leaves some Boeing workers saying they're still anxious to go back to work and others asking, what's the rush? Late tonight, thousands of workers will go back to work here in Everett and in Renton to begin building planes again. More go back tomorrow and Wednesday. And there is worry.
There's going to be a big line for masks, we think.
Boeing is part of the nation's defense and transportation industries and is considered an essential business. And we talked to one Boeing employee this afternoon.
And it all goes back, what's the rush? We think that a lot of folks think that, we should stay in line with what the governor is saying. Especially for our particular business, but I understand that we understand that the company wants to get going again. We're in uncharted waters, and I don't know if just full speed ahead is quite the way to go.
Do people have to go to work? The Machinists Union says this for their members. Members who are at high risk or need to care for children who are out of school, have an ill family member, or are concerned with working on site due to coronavirus can be absent from work and use vacation, sick leave, or excused leave without pay without having to exhaust benefits or face discipline. So what is Boeing doing? It starts with staggered shifts to keep people apart, signs and markings to create distance, requiring everyone to wear a face mask, either from home or provided by the company. The company will provide personal protective equipment for those working in close quarters, workers to remain home if feeling unwell, and wellness meetings at the beginning of shifts that may result in workers being sent home. Now, masks again inside. Everybody's going to have one on, even with the social distancing markings and signage that they're planning and putting in there. There are other things they're doing as well. The Machinists Union said they had representatives going through the plant this morning. They're advising their members, and again, this is mostly members of the Machinists Union who are affected here, to be able to use their red card rights, saying if they see something that they consider unsafe, they can call out that and stop it. They also are advising their members that they will not lose their rights if they decide to stay off the job. However, whether those members can actually get unemployment if they choose to stay off the job is still an open question, according to the union. Live in Everett, Glenn Farley, King 5 News.